Part C. Directions. In this part of the test you will hear several short talks. After each talk you will hear some questions. The talks and the questions will not be repeated. After you hear a question, read the 4 possible answers in your test book and choose the best answer. Then, on your answer sheet, find the number of the question and fill in the space that corresponds to the letter of the answer you have chosen. Here is an example. On the recording you hear, "Listen to an instructor talk to his class about a television program."
I'd like to tell you about an interesting TV program that'll be shown this coming Thursday. It'll be on from 9 to 10 p.m. on Channel 4. It's part of a series called Mysteries of Human Biology. The subject of the program is the human brain, how it functions and how it can malfunction. Topics that will be covered are dreams, memory, and depression. These topics are illustrated with outstanding computer animation that makes the explanations easy to follow. Make an effort to see this show. Since we've been studying the nervous system in class, I know you'll find it very helpful.
Now, listen to a sample question. What is the main purpose of the program? In your test book, you read A. To demonstrate the latest use of computer graphics. B. To discuss the possibility of an economic depression. C. To explain the workings of the brain. D. To dramatize a famous mystery story. The best answer to the question, "What is the main purpose of the program?" is C. To explain the workings of the brain. Therefore, the correct choice is C. Now listen to another sample question. Why does the speaker recommend watching the program? In your test book, you read A. It is required of all science majors. B. It will never be shown again. C. It can help viewers improve their memory skills. D. It will help with coursework. The best answer to the question, "Why does the speaker recommend watching the program?" is D. It will help with coursework. Therefore, the correct choice is D. Remember, you are not allowed to take notes or write in your test book. Go on to the next page. Now we will begin Part C with the first talk. Questions 40 through 42. Listen to part of a lecture in a psychology class.
In order to diagnose and treat abnormal behavior, we have to start with clear definitions of what is meant by abnormal and normal. Criteria must be worked out for distinguishing one from the other in actual clinical cases. The word abnormal implies a deviation from some clearly defined norm. In the case of physical illness, the boundary lines between normality and pathology are often clearly delineated by medical science, making it easier to diagnose. On the psychological level, however, we have no ideal model to use as a base of comparison, nothing to help us distinguish mental health from mental disorder. The problem of defining abnormal behavior by establishing just what is meant by normal behavior has proved extremely difficult. However, as Chapter 5 outlines, several criteria have been proposed. One norm described in detail in your text is personal adjustment. An individual who is able to deal with problems effectively without serious anxiety or unhappiness or more serious symptoms is said to be well-adjusted. Personal adjustment as a norm has several serious limitations, though. For example, it makes no reference to the individual's role in the group. How are we going to classify, for example, the atypical politician or business person who engages in unethical practices? Either might be a successful, happy, and well-adjusted individual. Obviously, the welfare of the group, as well as that of the individual, must be considered. which brings me to the next approach.
Number 40. What problem concerning abnormal behavior does the instructor discuss? Number 41. Why does the instructor mention physical illness? Number 42. What will the instructor probably discuss next? Questions 43 through 46. Listen to part of a talk in a biology class. The professor is discussing insect behavior.
Today, we're going to continue our discussion of social insects, focusing on the Argentine ant, which, as you might guess, is a species of ant that's native to Argentina. We'll consider what happened to this type of ant after some members of the species moved to California from their original habitat. Okay, well, in Argentina, these Argentine ants behave like most ant species around the world. They fight other ants of the same species if those ants are from some other nest. But the Argentine ants living in California behave differently. Ants from different nests form a single large colony. Within this colony, there is little aggression among ants from different nests. And when they fight insects from outside their colony, the Argentine ants can quickly recruit a huge army from their network of nests. This, of course, gives them an advantage over other ant species. So then, why do Argentine ants behave differently in California than they do in Argentina? Well, using genetic testing, researchers found that all the Argentine ants in California were very similar genetically. You see, when the first Argentine ants came to California, their population must have been very small, and all the later generations of Argentine ants there must be descended from the same few ancestors. So they are all closely related. This discovery is important because, for most social insects, membership in a colony is based on how closely related they are genetically.
Number 43. What aspect of Argentine ants is mainly discussed? Number 44. What does the professor say about the Argentine ants that live in Argentina? Number 45. What is a characteristic behavior of Argentine ants in California? Number 46. What did genetic testing indicate about the Argentine ants in California? Questions 47 through 50. Listen to part of a lecture in an art history class.
When you think of ancient Greek sculpture, you probably imagine statues of white stone, right? Because that's what they look like when you see them in museums today. But the idea that those statues were always white is a misconception. The fact is, many of them were painted, but the paint had either worn off or was unintentionally scrubbed off when the sculptures were cleaned after they were excavated. Now, the idea of painted Greek sculpture is not new in our field. As far back as the early 1800s, there were art historians claiming that the Greeks painted their statues, because statues had been excavated that still had visible traces of paint on them. But in recent years, some German archaeologists have scrutinized many more ancient Greek statues with modern technology, such as ultraviolet light and X-rays, and they've clearly established that yes, many of them definitely were painted, and often in very bright colors. In one statue of the Greek goddess Athena, Athena was apparently wearing a robe painted bright yellow and green. And we know that ancient Greek artists applied these pigments, these colors, using hot wax. How do we know that? Well, because there's a clear depiction of it in an image on an ancient vase. You can see an artist holding a pot of pigment in one hand, and with his other hand, he's using a knife to apply the pigments to a statue. And you can see his assistant using charcoal to heat up the wax and tools.
Number 47. What aspect of ancient Greek art does the professor mainly discuss? Number 48. Why are surviving ancient Greek statues white in color? Number 49. What does the professor say about the recent research done by German archaeologists? Number 50. How do researchers know that hot wax was used to apply pigments to ancient Greek statues? This is the end of Section 1, Listening Comprehension. Stop work on Section 1. This is a reminder. At the end of the test, the supervisor will collect all of the test books. You may not leave until all of the test books have been collected. End of recording.